need to do one's own experiments. The journey of exploration into our creativity revealed how incredibly and unbelievably unique our perspectives are. However, humanity as it exists today did not create a world where we are given the space and guidance to learn to follow our own unique perceptions and learn to dance with the external world. Rather, we're taught, led, manipulated, and convinced from the earliest stage we need to fit in with the external world the way our external caregivers and the society in which we find ourselves wants us to be. So when we learn to discern our own truth and access and calibrate our internal compass, we will find there are many things we have come to believe that are not true for our uniqueness. Also, we will find we can no longer blindly follow external guidance. Rather, we find we need to start evaluating what we are told against what is true for us and serves who and what we are. Additionally, we find there are aspects of our being that have never been explored. What we will find is we need to do our own experiments. We need to discover what is our truth and then live by it. No one can do that for us. We need to do our own experiments to discover what that truth is. It is here we need our creativity to construct those experiments and explorations, whatever they look like, to both fully explore what is true for us in the depth and breadth of who and what we are. In looking to do one's own experiments, it is recommended one use the creativity perspective to look and see where you do not have the freedom to explore. When you look at the reasons why you are not free to explore, it is here you can begin to ask the question, what is my truth, and is this lack of freedom I experience my truth or something imposed on me? In understanding that we need a certain prior minimum set of experience for our mind to understand and properly characterize any experience we have, and that we do not truly understand and know something until we can eat and digest it to make it our own and create a particular experience through that understanding, we can begin to see that creativity is an experimental and experiential science or subject. It is something with which we must experiment and do our own experiments to find out what is effective in our life. Paragraph 5. All the normal ways of viewing what we create and how we create gives no indication of our true creative power and creative ability. We all, at least most of us, have been taught to stay within the bounds of what is acceptable to our external world. But the depth and breadth of our creative power and creative ability available to us is only revealed when we step out of our normal way of experience and perceiving ourselves and creation. We have to create the conditions for the unseen aspects of our creative power and the creative power of creation to be revealed. Until we choose and set the intention to explore and figure out ways to experiment what we believe is true, we won't know what is the truth of our being. To think something is true is very different to know it is true. If we believe we live in a world of infinite possibilities, we will have to manifest something that seemingly is impossible to prove it. This is true for any and all aspects of what we believe about our internal and external world. In constructing such conditions of observations, what we will find is we will create an experience of what it is we believe within the context of our environment. But here we can learn to both change what we believe within that environment or change the environment without changing what we believe, or we can change both. In any case, we will need to do our own experiments if we are going to understand the true depth and breadth of who and what we are. This is what the mystics have done in one way or another to observe the state of oneness within our own being and that of creation. But there are other ways than the mystical path. As a physicist observe the wave-particle duality by how they construct their experiments and conditions of observation, we can observe either side of any duality by how we create our observations. The more important aspect of understanding the observer-observed pair is that how we choose to observe can change what we observe. Another way of saying this is by changing the conditions under which we observe something, we reveal facts about what we observe that is otherwise unseen. What needs to be understood is that the relationship between our creativity, energy, and consciousness will reveal itself only in how we choose to observe. Whether energy is experienced as unmanifested and non-localized, or we experience it as a spirit or materialized and localized in physical form, is determined by how we choose to observe. So too consciousness, it can be experienced as unmanifested and non-localized, not limited by our body or ego, or we can experience it as a spirit with an ego and localized in a physical form, is determined by how we choose to observe. What individuals call the spirit or the soul will exhibit physical properties under proper conditions, and a physical form will exhibit its spiritual properties under the proper conditions. Similarly, consciousness will exhibit energy properties under the correct condition, and energy will experience consciousness properties. However, it must be remembered, all manifests out of the oneness, and the essence of that oneness is in everything. Whether something is expressed as energy, consciousness, mass, conscious consciousness, subconscious consciousness, or unconsciousness, it's all the same. Only the conditions of observation are making it what it appears to be. Change the conditions of observation and it will appear differently. Although everything arises out of the oneness of creation, any particular environment will only reveal some of the characteristics and attributes. The physical plane emphasizes the localized energy aspects and the localized consciousness aspects of the oneness of creation as opposed to its wave nature. We can expect that there are attributes of oneness that we experience in the physical plane, and there will be attributes of oneness that the physical plane will be incapable of expressing. In this regard, we can fully expect the world of, quote, spirit, non-physical reality that seems separate and totally unexplainable and different than what is experienced in the physical plane. However, that does not mean the realm of spirit or where non-physically observed attributes are expressed and the world of the physical are in any way separate. They are one and the same and exist simultaneously together. It is just the nature of the observation, and the environment of observation is different. We only need to change how we observe to see. On this note, it must be remembered that as humans, we are very biased in our observations. All of our observations are based on what we perceive as human. That is, as perceived by and through our limited five senses, through a body wisdom and intuitive guidance system that most don't know exists and even fewer know how to use it. As such, we are focused on the localized manifestation of what arises out of oneness. However, our body wisdom and intuitive guidance are key to knowing, to seeing differently, to observe the depth and breadth of our true nature. And it needs to be added, the key to the body wisdom and intuitive guidance is the body and being able to fully feel the sensations of the body, and that's all of them, which includes pain and other feelings we may have. In this regard, we need to be open to feeling and what we feel.